Hey everybody, it's John Barrowman here, and you are listening to Tomorrow's Legends with Martin the Flash, Harley Quinn, and X-Force 11. Now you all may know me as playing Malcolm Merlin, and here's a little something for you. Every warrior must learn the simple truth that pain is inevitable, suffering is optional.
Humans have reached a point of stagnation, and the next step in evolution is upon us. Telepathy, telekinesis, teleportation. These are the powers of the Tomorrow people, and they are about to break out. Join Flash, Harley, and X-Force 11 as they jump to a new story of heroes to follow their fight against a corrupt government who wants to hunt them down. This is the Tomorrow People, as brought to you by Tomorrow's Legends.
Well, hey there, people of tomorrow. The Legends of Tomorrow are back today with our discussion on episode 2 of the Tomorrow People called In Too Deep. Are you confused yet? I am the Defiant Flash.
I'm Harley Quinn.
And I'm breaking out of the Ultra Base. I'm X-Force 11.
Oh, are you breaking out? Like breaking out?
Yeah.
Gaining powers?
Both ways.
Breaking out of prison? You're past
Both ways.
You're past pimples, right? You've grown out of that.
Yeah.
Okay. Both ways. Hello, Gideon.
Hello, Legends.
There she is. So we are part of the Cybercast Network with a bunch of shows covering some of your favorite topics. This is Tomorrow's Legends, where we've got the Tomorrow People, which you're listening to right now. And we're also following X-Men 97 with our new co-host Abby, so check that out if you're into that new cartoon. Also head over to Dive into DC for Silvervox and Green Butterfly's coverage of all things DC. I don't know what's coming up next for them. They just finished Swamp Thing. What do they got going on next?
So they're doing a comic next, and then I think they're jumping into Dead Boy Detectives, which is a spinoff of Sandman. It'll be out on Netflix. So
perfect.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, yep.
Cool. So check that out over there. And then The Mandalore is currently wrapping up Bad Batch Season 3 as they got, 3 episodes left there, I think? Mm-hmm. The big 3-part finale coming up. Man, it's getting exciting over there. So check those shows out. Let's get into some news for this week.
We interrupt this podcast for a special report.
So just a reminder that we do have an Instagram and Threads account, and we're getting some good conversations started over, especially on Threads. And if you're finding us because of that, we welcome you here. And just look forward to communicating and talking about the episodes of X-Men and Tomorrow People and anything else that we're covering. So join us there. And then next up, we've got a little bit of Superman and Lois news. The series finale is titled It Went By So Fast. And it's written by Brent Fletcher and Todd Helbing and directed by Gregory Smith. And today was the last day of filming of the Smallville set. The external Smallville set. And they said there's a major production, TV production that's going to be taking, place there next. But
right.
So lots of laughs coming along. So it's like, oh.
And do they have to call it Went By Too Fast? Because, come on.
Yes, and I'm sure they did it on purpose.
Yes.
It did go by so fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm really loving, especially with, the Superman Day, which is earlier this week. There was a lot of praise for Tyler of his portrayal in the role and how good and how different it is, a different Superman than what we've seen before, and just talking about how he carries that role. And so that, giving him some good due there out on the social media site. So
that's good. I hope they get so much recognition, and especially the two of them, him and Bitsy, because they have become, I think, the top for me for portraying these characters.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely fall in love with those two for sure. And just maybe you can explain to us. I'm looking at our Threads account now, and you're saying like there's some conversations there. How does this thing work? I'm looking at it now, so I see all of our posts. You're posting
Twitter
about X-Men.
Lite.
You're posting about Tomorrow People and stuff. And how do you take part in a conversation on it?
So you're looking at the hashtags. You know, you're searching for, you know, like hashtag X-Men 97. And then you got people talking about it, and then you can reply back and forth. And, you know, I saw a guy talking about it and suggested, you know, he check out our podcast because we're covering, you know, he was saying, I'm enjoying X-Men 97, but looking for something else. And I said, hey, we're covering the Tomorrow People as well. So, you know, it's one of those things where you're kind of searching that way for different things, and then replying to other folks and things like that. So.
And that's how we get exposed. If they, through conversation, they see what account it's coming from, and then they might look at ours.
Yeah, and then
it's like Twitter, but like scaled down.
Okay, which I was never good at Twitter either. So,
but like
okay.
it allows you to post longer than Twitter does.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have longer, you know, information, and it kind of feeds your algorithm, so you start posting about different stuff, and it's going to show you more like that, so you can you know, find more people who are talking about those type of things. So it's you know, it's getting out there, but it's proving pretty robust to handle a lot of traffic. So it's just allowing people to talk more. And so I'm trying to get out there and post, you know, this is our feedback deadline, you know, let's talk about this today, and things like that, to get folks, you know, talking about it and interested in the podcast. So
no, good job. I know when I open, because I use Instagram and Facebook. That's really the only two I use. And when I open Instagram, one of the first things that comes up is, hey, Tomorrow's Legends, and it shows the posts that you've put on there. It's like, oh yeah, it's working. Okay, it's actually popping up right away. So
yeah.
I used to love Twitter back in the day, but it just has gone down.
It and Threads are just different from each other, and they're different audiences and things like that. And it's a little more. Threads are a little more people driven right now than corporate driven. Like there's not as much corporate, you know, stuff on there now, and so it is more community driven. So,
which is cool.
So yep. So.
Well, good work there. And I want to just throw in our news real quick. I think last week this happened, and I forgot to mention it, but we have a new patron, Sci-Fi Gene. So thank you, Sci-Fi Gene, for getting on there and helping support the show.
Yeah.
Yay.
And we'll remind you guys how to do that later on. Jeff, I just wanted to point out your new background. Are you sure you're safe, buddy? You're like right on the subway tracks, just about.
If you
there you are, just off to the edge.
I'm on the platform. I'm past the yellow line. I'm okay.
All right.
Check out our YouTube channel eventually and see what that's all about.
And this is the abandoned section. This is not, you know, where there's active trains coming through.
Trains out. Okay, good. Yeah. So just making sure nobody's going to push you over there. All right, let's get to our ratings for this episode. Did I give us the title? What are we? Yeah, this one's called In Too Deep. Let's get into that.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
So I gave this one 8 double lives. So Stephen is, as the title says, in too deep. But for the good of both his family and for the Tomorrow People, he has to lead a double life right now. And I really liked seeing Stephen struggle with trying to do both, to protect his kind and learning the hard realities of working for the enemy. And man, Pellegrino makes such a good villain. He's so on top of things and ahead of the game. He's such a worthy foe. And again, I just can't wait to see this journey continue, because like I remember bits and pieces, but it's been 10 years, so I don't remember a lot of the details. And so it's coming into it again with fresh eyes and going, oh yeah, I remember this, or oh, I'd totally forgotten about this. So
Exactly.
So
And I think in my memory, I mostly remember just some of the cool action moments that are coming, though a lot of the story I've forgotten because it has been 10 years. But I know there's a cool scene with teleportation coming up when they're training, and I remember being completely wowed for that, and I have no idea when it's coming, so that'll be a surprise when it happens too. Because very, very cool.
Nice. Well, I also gave this one an 8 reasons Steven is in over his head. I must say, the pacing on this show I'm feeling is actually pretty quick, because I feel like in normal scenarios, an arc like this would have taken like half of a season.
You're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything that played out in the pilot and then also in this episode normally would be like half of a season for most shows. So I'm really appreciating that, because I really like that it's moving quickly. It's not drawn out. And although because it's at this pace, it's getting tough for me to kind of like predict where we're going, which is fine. Like, I don't think that's a bad thing. I like being surprised. I like being engaged and in the action and not really knowing where they're going to go. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. So I'm really enjoying the storytelling, really enjoying the acting. Mark Pellegrino, Robbie Amell, just everybody else in there, Peyton List, like loving everything that they're all doing. So it's been good. I'm enjoying it.
Yay! Look at us tripling it up this week. I'm giving it an 8 as well. 8 double takes. Whew! Talk about always having to look over your shoulder. Trying to be a double agent when you aren't even trained on either side fully is one tough scenario to be in. Neither side trusts you, and you also have to prove to them that you can be relied on, but all the while not actually knowing if either side believes you. Whew! That is pressure and stress. Now, I remember originally having a lot of fun with the series, and I'm again reliving that enjoyment. I don't care about comparing it to everything we've seen in the last 10 years, or the feelings that we're getting about, oh, I've seen these ideas before. I'm able to put all of those thoughts aside, because I just can't iterate enough. The show is 10 years old. Let's cut it some slack and just have fun with it. That's why we're here doing this, because me and Jeff remembered the show being good and enjoying it. So that's why I wanted to bring Harley in. Let's just have some fun with it. Just I see other people online that, again, they say the things that, oh my God, I've seen this trope too many times. Yeah, we have over the last 10 years, but this show was ahead of its time back in the day. And I'm able to cut all that out and just have fun. So let's have fun with it. That's what we're doing. It's fun.
It is.
Let's get to our talking points and see where we go with this one.
Gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the universe.
All right, so we get Steven getting used to his powers, on and off. Like he's having some good times when he's using it really effective, and then other times not so much, as he brings up in his open monologue. But the interesting thing is he has trimmed back on. Last episode he told Astrid about his powers and then really couldn't prove it. Now he's really lying to her. And yeah, I get it. He's trying to protect her, but I'm like, okay, is she? I can't remember. She's going to find out or not, but I just kind of wasn't cool on that, because it seems like she's the only friend. But then again, trying to go through his thinking there. So.
Yeah, I'm wondering if maybe he does eventually come clean to Astrid. I mean, someone from the human world, I feel like, is going to have to find out about him. I don't know how he can continue to keep hiding that, based on his inexperience, kind of Martin was suggesting. So I think that'll be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. I mean, I know we saw in the pilot, he does try to confide in her, but he has zero control over his powers. And so I think now that he's kind of going through some training and gaining that control, I feel like it would be much easier to just show her, to just be like, hey, really wasn't kidding. And so I'm curious to see how that's going to play out. I feel like he needs someone to be in that middle ground with him. Not someone on Ultra, because obviously they can't be trusted, but also not someone on the Tomorrow People side, because they want him to come underground. So I feel like he also needs someone in the regular world that
and you guys are right. He did tell her it was in the gym when he was trying to move the basketball, but she kind of just took it more like a joke, and then are you okay? Maybe you should go see your doctor. I don't think she was taking him seriously at all. And I actually can't recall if he ever does tell her or show her what he can do. But I do agree with you. I think she's going to start suspecting things though, because he can't hide it forever. If people are coming after him, if he's always acting weird and going to different places, not coming home or whatever, she's going to start suspecting something. She's his best friend. She knows him. And like you're right, he is going to need support from someone that isn't involved on either side. And she's perfect. I mean, that's his best friend. So confide in her, bring her in, and let her be part of your world.
Yeah, so it's interesting because in the original British TV show, they had a couple of who they called saps, which were the regular Homo sapiens, who helped them in their things. And so they were in on everything. They knew about the Tomorrow people. They knew about their powers. And they were there kind of running interference and helping. And so it's interesting to kind of see that turn the other way, where you got Ultra, who has humans that know about it, but we don't yet have those trusted people on the Tomorrow people side yet. And so it'll be interesting to see if we get some more people brought in who are, normal humans trying to help out the Tomorrow people.
Yeah. I'm curious about that too.
So Steven is doing his training at Ultra, lifting weights and teleporting and all that good stuff. But they're also probing his mind while he's doing his testing there.
Yeah, that was kind of like an interesting little twist to me. I mean, I'm not surprised. I was like, well, how is this going to work if they're all telepathic, or at least the people that have powers are, right? So I think this definitely was a bad idea. I really don't think that he had a choice. I mean, I think his choice was abandon his family and never see them again, and have them wonder where he went for like the rest of his life, or do what he's doing. So
but let's think about
really,
it though.
I think, have a lot of options.
He's training his powers from Ultra's side and from the Tomorrow people side. So he's kind of getting the top of both, because they each have, there's like the government way of training, very militant and whatever, and then there's the Tomorrow people teaching him survival skills. So he's kind of getting the best of both worlds, and it's going to make him the best warrior out there. Plus, if he knows how Ultra is doing things, then he can teach the Tomorrow people how to defend them against them properly. And that's actually kind of really smart. If you think about it, it makes sense to me that he can use what Ultra's showing him, and then he can tell the Tomorrow people, hey, this is what's going to come after you. Let's do this and this and this. We can protect ourselves. It's actually kind of cool in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. As long as they don't continue to be able to read his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to protect
He gives everybody else
which
away.
We'll talk about him doing here for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Jed shows him their kind of nerve center and kind of gives the reasoning of, why they're doing what they're doing and how they're tracking potential people breaking out and different things like that, to give him some of the whys of, what this organization is.
I mean, from the stance that Jed is
about.
taking, it makes sense. And this is, we always talk about what makes a good villain is a villain that believes he's doing the right thing. Right? Gives him conviction to what he's doing. And this is what Jed is already. They're tracking criminals that are using their powers for bad, like robbing and thieving and whatever. But where I question it is that his lethal force isn't the best way to go about it. And I still wonder if he has full authority to do that. Like, does his bosses know that he's actually killing a lot of kids? Plus, how do they explain it to the public? I think, Harley, you brought this up somewhere. How do they explain to the public what keeps happening to these kids that are suddenly disappearing? Because the public doesn't all know they have powers, but all of a sudden, John down the street's dead, Susie Q around the corner, she's dead. What's going on?
I do bring that up later
So,
when
there
the
you go.
mom
I just
gets
initiated
tased.
that thought
We will
process,
discuss.
but,
Yeah.
But like I said,
Yes.
does Jed's bosses know what he's doing, or are they giving him free reign to do whatever he needs to do? Like that's the mystery around him, because we just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good question that you bring up. I mean, he says that he does report to, quote, people. It just reminds me of like a CIA black op where basically they want them off the books. They don't want to know what they're doing so that the government has plausible deniability. And if whatever they're doing, whatever terrible things they're doing, whatever governments they're toppling, whatever democracies they're undoing, then they have plausible deniability. They could say, we don't have anything like that on record. This is just hearsay, blah, 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 until eventually somewhere 20, 50, 60 years down the line, it all becomes unclassified. Like everything that happened in Iran, everything that happened in Afghanistan. So many things. Anyways, that's my read on it, that it's a black op because they want plausible deniability.
Yeah.
So yes and no. I think he has the green light to literally do whatever he wants because they just don't want to know, and they're just trusting him to, quote, eliminate the threat, and these people are just collateral damage in their eyes. That's how the government views things. So
yeah.
I'm not cynical.
And that's from with you in your own country.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, a really great book series, although it is horribly, horribly depressing, is, oh my gosh, my mind just went blank. Was it Red Sparrow? Is that what it was called? It was about, it's a spy thriller. It's very good. Continue.
So we get to see a Tomorrow People, break out, forcing a guard to rob the bank, his own bank, and he gets away with all the money.
The scene was almost like comedic to me in some ways. Like
it
wasn't,
but
it like
poor
kind
guard.
of was.
Like, he is completely not in control of his body, and he can talk to the people. I'm not doing this. This isn't me. And yet everyone else is like, this dude's lost his knockers. Like, holy crap, what's wrong with him? But feel what that poor guard felt like. The bank that he protects every day as his job, he is now holding hostage. Like, and he can't control it. Like, what a weird feeling that would be.
Yeah.
And this kid, I mean, he's just a kid that's breaking out, but I get a feeling like he maybe broke out a while ago because he had some pretty good control over his powers. I mean, that was really good control. To control another person's body to that extent, that's not somebody who just learned how to do that. Okay.
No, well, I think they said it was like 3 months or something at some point in the episode. So enough time for him to get a little bit of control, but not enough time that they could like talk to him telepathically. So I wonder if they said that every one of them is stronger in one of the T's. So I bet his T is telekinesis. That's because that was the first one that came out, and then he has really, really, really
every
good
one of them
with
is
that.
more powerful than one of them than the other two. So, but this kid didn't seem to care. Like he didn't care that people were scared or in danger in what he was doing. It just he was one of those reckless teens. But we do find out later that he's doing it for a good cause for himself. He's trying to help his mom pay for their bills and stuff like that. So because of that, a teenager will cross the line, and they're not too concerned about the the repercussions of it, and he's just doing what he needs to do. So it's kind of like,
But here's my question on all of this. Their species can't kill people. So I don't think he could have ever made that man
That's a
pull
good
a trigger.
question. He's not the one actually
Could
pulling the trigger. Can he make somebody else do it?
He can't. But here's the thing. There's he would have to control other people, because like if the police came in, like they don't know that, and they just see a guy with a gun, and so like he could get people killed by controlling, but like he couldn't do it, but like his actions could
are we
cause
100%
somebody
sure
to
he
get
can't
killed.
Yes.
So,
make that guard pull the trigger? Because it's not actually him doing the killing. He's controlling someone else. That's a good question.
I'm not sure. It was a question that popped into my mind. I don't know.
I think my thinking is this. He is taking over that person, and that person is by extension a tool of him. And like if he can pick up a knife, like we saw in the last episode where the Ultra agent could pick up the gun, but he couldn't pull the trigger. Like if he picked up a knife, he still couldn't stab somebody. So like the tool, he can't use that tool to kill somebody. So that person, that guard is being used by him as a tool. So he can't use that tool to kill. So that's my thinking on it is he's using a tool. He can't use that tool to kill. So, but he could get leaning. He could get people killed, but just not by his direct action, but because of the perception of others.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, due to all that's going on, we're kind of messing with the order here. I think I may have got this out of order, but hopefully we'll get to this. But so Steven's supposed to pick up his brother. He's supposed to do all these things. He's supposed to meet up with Astrid, but because of everything that's going on in his day, like he forgets about that. And he comes home, his mom confronts him, and he reads his mom's mind and sees the day from her point of view that his dad left the family.
Yeah, this was kind of a tough scene. I mean, part of me wishes that he'd come clean to his family about who he is, but then I'm guessing that would just cause more problems. They might be afraid of him. They might kick him out. They might try to have him institutionalized. They might turn him over to Jed. I mean, there's a lot of like different ways that could go, but it really just does kind of like make me wonder if he's eventually going to have to come clean to them, because again, like the whole double life, we're only in episode 2. We've got 20 more episodes to go. So they have a long way to go. So I'm very, very curious for how long he's even able to keep this up.
All we see was them having a bit of an, I'm just going. She's like, no, stay, we can figure this out. And he's like, no, we can't. I don't love you anymore. And then he leaves. And that's a hard way to end things. When he's not really meaning that, I don't think that's what his ultimate reason is for going. I think he's trying to protect his family.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
But how do you break it off and stop them from coming after you? By telling them something like that. That's what gets them to, and that's probably why his mom was like, no, your dad left us hanging, and she's all mad about it. And he was trying to do what was best for them. But I'm still wondering if she knew about his powers at all, or did she just think, all the trouble he was in was he had mental problems and needed medication? Because depending on what she knows might lean them in what direction they would react to Steven coming clean. Because you were questioning, why doesn't Steven just come clean with them? Well, I think it depends on how much they knew about their dad, or how much she knew about her husband. If she knew he had superpowers and all this was going on, then when Steven opens up to her, she might be, oh, this again. Okay, well, but if he opens up to her and she's like, no, you're crazy like your dad was. We got to get you help. I think it's going to depend on that.
Yeah. I'm waffling on this. I want more information. I feel like this comes up later, but I could be wrong. So you might hear me say the same thing again. But yeah, I definitely want more information on this situation. Because why he's so adamant that they're in such danger, and I guess it has to be because of Jed and the family connection, but it's just boggling my mind why he and the Tomorrow people insist that humans have to be kept in the dark. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm unsure of how was Jack explaining why he was running from his brother?
Yes.
So that she would understand, because they were running for a while. And I don't understand how he was explaining why, that they were running from his brother. So I don't know. So
did he even say that? Have they confirmed they were running from Jed, or they're just running from trouble? I don't remember them ever saying it. It is my brother we're trying to get away from. Like, because if that was the case, then why would she let Jed just come and sit in the living room and go, "Oh, hey, Steven, here's your uncle. We haven't seen him in a long time."
True.
she seemed kind of friendly
about
it, right?
That's true.
She knows it was
true.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's true.
And maybe even if he did, maybe she took it as his paranoia. Yeah, there you go. So that he thought his brother was after him, and she was kind of going along with that.
Oh.
So that could be a reason, but like maybe he didn't disclose that it was the brother.
It could be, might have thought
it
could be the less the family knows, the less danger they're in type of scenario, which we see all the time. The heroes do that. The less you know, the better off you are. Because if I tell you,
that's what John says. Yeah. That's like his whole line in the pilot. Is that
which we kind of get a bit of an explanation. I don't know if you guys have in the notes here, but when John and Cara are saying that, like, you put us in danger. Like, Cara left her sister and whatever. We've left our families to keep them safe. That's why we're down here. So I think that does kind of come around, right?
Yeah. There's a lot to this. A lot to unpack, but they've got a lot of room to unpack it.
So, it's going to be interesting to see how they go that way with it. So,
for me too.
Well, at least for me.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, definitely.
I know you say you guys aren't remembering a lot, but
it's being refreshed. But it's a lot of dust being brushed off, and so
Yeah, definitely. So we get a scene where Cara takes a watch of John's, and she says it's got a D chip in it, and she gives that to Steven, and the D stands for like deflection. So basically it deflects telepathic signals away, and it prevents people from getting inside his head. So it's just a way to protect him at work.
What's the D stand for? It's got to be some big fancy scientific word that they make up, but no, deflection. Okay, simple. But I like this idea because it's a new twist in the idea of superpowers, that they can be interrupted by technology, because we've never really seen that before. That simple technology, computers and stuff, can interrupt people's superpowers. That's kind of cool. That's kind of crazy. Like, who figured that out? And what exactly does the D chip do? Is it sending out some type of brain waves, and it stops you from being able to be read? Like, I don't know.
I don't know either. But his dad made it. They do say that.
Yeah. So we find out that his dad made it, but Cara says it's made from some of the same material as stuff in Ultra. So so
I forgot that.
Yeah, so it's we find out that that his dad made it, but like, so it's like who stole what from whom?
There's a lot of stealing going on. I would like more of this history.
Yeah.
Please.
So Ultra is on to Kurt, our bank robber, and Steven wants to help out and be a part of the mission going after him. And after some cajoling, Jed allows him to go, and they show up at Kurt's mom's house and to try to get a lead on him, and Steven finds out that he's hiding in the attic, and they just straight knock out the mom and send in the attack troops.
So this is where I start to bring up a couple of questions, because I felt this was a very bold move.
Mm-hmm.
Am I surprised that Ultra is doing it? No. But what happens when the mom comes to you? Isn't she gonna want to know why she was tased and why her son is missing? She's gonna notice he just never comes home again. Also, might notice the bullet holes in her ceiling. Also,
yeah, and that's what
How
I was
do
getting
they
at. Like
explain this away?
Ultra seems to be running around, bending the laws to get whatever it is they want to get done, and it makes you wonder, like, can't people make some noise about it after these incidents that they experience? Like, Ultra is showing that they're pretty on the edge and not too concerned with people, powers or not. Because, I mean, how do they know they didn't kill her with electricity? Like, that was a pretty jolting tase that they gave her. How do they know that she doesn't have a heart condition? She doesn't have anything? Like, they just zapped her.
Well, we
well, that's a good
Well, no,
point.
we see her
I
later.
consider she might just be dead.
Well, we see her later.
She's bringing
Oh,
groceries
oh,
home,
we
and her
do see
son's
her later?
watching her
Oh.
from the
Okay.
rooftop of the next building over.
Right. But still, like,
How does this woman not have questions?
question.
Can they
Well-
erase memories?
Well, I don't know, but here's the thing. The son is missing, so he hasn't been there.
Oh, she reported
Like,
him
she
missing.
reported him missing. She thinks that they're from the police, and they're claiming to be truant officers from the school. But,
Security
like,
tasers.
so she knows that they're missing, and so maybe she thinks that he's gotten into trouble and these people are chasing him or stuff like that. But still, like, I get some of the tactics with Ultra because they're going after people who are running away, and so, like, they can explain, like, these people don't ever show back up.
Okay,
That
that's
they
a good
killed
explanation.
because they
yeah.
were runaways. So, like, okay, runaways that
Right.
never come home,
Right.
never any explanation. But then this, like, how do you explain again? Like, you tased me, you shot up my house. Like, do you think she goes to the cops and, like, is my son in trouble? And they're like,
Yeah.
we don't know anything about your son.
Yeah.
You
Right.
reported him. So how does it work? How do they, like,
Unless
it makes you wonder, like,
we know
I
the
would have
agents,
so many
some of the
questions
agents that show
if
up
it
have
were me.
powers as well. Maybe some of the telepaths are erasing her memory or blocking her memory or doing something to her head that she just goes about her day and not thinking anything's gone on.
I don't know. That's
I mean,
big. Yeah.
I agree, it's big, but I'm kind of like, ooh, sorry. I had to remember to set an alarm tomorrow. But I'm kind of like with you all. Like, I don't get it. Like, how can you just brush something that under the rug? So there has to be something. There has to
Well,
be some sort of
think
memory
about
manipulation. Otherwise, it's
Legends
just
of
totally
Tomorrow, they had their
unbelievable.
little blinky blink,
Yeah.
which everyone forgets, right? So maybe we just haven't seen it yet.
Yes, exactly. So it's not like given their powers, I would not at all be surprised to learn that they can just naturally do this. They can read their emotions. He said they can get in people's heads, like they can do all these things. So I wouldn't be surprised to find out that that's what's actually
We got to
happening.
know. Yeah. you're
But
right.
until they tell me that, I have questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're only 2 episodes in. We can't get all the answers right away.
Oh my goodness. I know. But anyways.
So we see, once they get back, we see Steven confront Jed about this. And Jed says they are policing themselves, or policing the Tomorrow people, because the government will do worse. So the government won't do worse. And they're only bringing in the ones that they can train, the rest they kill. I'm like, okay, so that's like, okay.
I'm with you. I feel like this seems awfully high stakes for a population of people that can't actually kill someone at this point in time. I mean, Jed seems convinced it's only a matter of time before they can, but that seems like an awfully extreme measure to take, especially against kids. And also, like, I don't know, unless their powers are also messing with the manipulation or, like, how, like, evolution works. I mean, it takes, like, thousands, if not millions of years for these traits to, quote, like, evolve. And, you know, if you're looking at it from, like, a scientific perspective. So unless that's part of like their evolution, like as a species, that they just move faster or evolve faster. I don't know. I feel like Jed is driving that evolution faster because he's killing them off, as opposed to like if he had left them alone, like survival of the fittest, right? They don't need to kill to survive. They'll never develop the need to kill. But if they need to kill to survive, they have to develop that skill at some point down the line.
That he's hurrying up the process. But again,
Yet he should. He's an evolutionary
but that's
biologist.
The thing is, he
That's really what
he
does.
is so jealous that he didn't get powers. He wants to stop everybody that did get them. He doesn't want his normalness to be left behind and be extinct. That's his whole driving force. He's like, nah, humans are going to remain at the top of the food chain. I'm not going to let this new species wipe us out, so I'm going to wipe them out first. That is the drive behind what he's doing.
Yeah. And I honestly wonder if he has communicated with the people above him that the Tomorrow people can't kill.
Air quotes.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. Does he have a boss? I don't know.
Well,
he might.
They're getting funding, but like,
oh, good point. Good point.
You know, they're getting funding, so they have to make justification, and so not telling them that they can't kill, you know.
Yeah, no, I mean, I maintain it's a black op. They don't. All measures necessary.
Right.
Quote, collateral damage. We don't want to know what's happening.
Like I was saying earlier, like again, with the families after their kids are killed, I like your explanation, Jeff, that maybe the runaways are just they're runaways and they never came back, and the families they just allow the families to mourn. Oh, we found your son. He was dead on their side of the river. Blah blah blah, and then the parents are just like, oh, damn. Okay, well, I got to have a funeral, and my kid, and they just have a sad family moment. Maybe that's all that's happening. Because I keep wondering, like, what happens? Do they get compensated? What are the explanations given to them? And if it truly is kids that are runaways, then that explains everything away. But if it's kids that are living at home and having a normal life, a normal family life, but then they get killed by Ultra because Ultra's going after them, then that, I think, causes a problem. So, we'll see how if this continues to be explored or not.
So, after his talk with Jed, Stephen calls Cara and John and Russell come along as well, and talks about like wanting to rescue Kurt, and they're like, especially John's like, no, no, we're not going to risk. Like, he's already on Ultra's radar.
We've got this coming up. So. I'm using this as my favorite scene just to give you a sneak peek. But there's it's interesting. We'll talk about it more when we hear it. But I just like how they were defensive about it because they don't really know what Steven's doing, and he comes back to them, and they're like, whoa, wait a second. We thought you left. What are you doing here? Like, their whole reaction to it was really, really good, and it's completely understandable. So, and you'll hear it again in the scene.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like their reaction is totally understandable.
Yeah. So we get to see Tim analyzing the robbery footage, and we find out that John stole Tim from Ultra. So this was a big surprise. Yeah.
I also found that very surprising. I actually thought one of them like maybe created him, like they were just like kind of like geniuses in their own right, and like made this AI. So I was very.
It's
surprised.
Also kind of cool, makes sense because Ultra has the super crazy futuristic tech. So steal a part of it. What I want to know is Tim being the AI.
Yeah. Is
he okay with this? Is he secretly sending Ultra messages or information, or is he like, no, I'm on the Tomorrow People side. I don't like what Ultra is doing. Like what's the extent of Tim's AI? Is he thinking for himself, or does he just follow instructions and orders from whoever has him? Like, that's what I want to know.
Yeah, they make it seem like he is a fully developed conscious, not just a computer that can respond. But
so which is he on the side of our people and wants to help
he has,
if he can make that choice. Yeah,
that's what it seems like.
It seems that way. That Ultra's not, like coming into their layers. So I think there's even a funny quip about him not being able to be updated.
Well, way to go, Super Projector. You're on our side.
Yeah. But it's interesting. We see the Tomorrow people can't, like we've talked about it, they can't completely get to Kurt because he's not broken out. So they try to get to him when he knocks off the armored truck, but he's not listening to them then, and that happened a little earlier. So it's interesting, that like the powers are coming in spurts. But again, we talked about like he's getting some of the powers, but the telepathy is, maybe last to develop, and so he can't be found by them until he fully breaks out. So like we don't know what that in this particular iteration. It seems like it's more of a gradual process, whereas in the original series there was a definitive event. Like you had stuff going on, but there was a definitive breaking out in the original series. And then after that, you had all the powers. You were still growing in them, but like if you didn't have a Tomorrow person helping you break out, then you might lose those abilities or whatever. But like it seems like in this reality, there's not a definitive event. It's more gradual, coming into the power.
There's also, there's got to be an age-related thing there, because Kurt was younger than a lot of them. So I wonder if that's why he only had he had teleportation and he had telekinesis. So I wonder if it's a very X-Men type of thing. Like you a certain age is when everything starts to happen, and I don't know, because
yeah.
I mean, I think the teens are supposed to be, 16, 17?
I think it covers,
maybe
like John, 18? I get the feeling he's maybe 20 or something.
Yeah.
He's a little bit older than all the teenagers. Yeah.
Yes, so I think Cara and John and most of the Tomorrow people, except for maybe the new ones they've brought in, are a little bit older.
Yeah.
Not like older, but like a little bit, like you said, into their 20s or, at least 20, but like into their early 20s. Whereas like Steven is meant to be 16, 17 years old. And I think Kurt is also meant to be of a similar age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I don't know why and maybe it's just simply like TV convenience, but all of these shows tend to have them break out or develop powers in their teenage years so that it's feasible for 20-year-old actors to play down to be
puberty and growing up and all that stuff. Like it's the perfect time to explain away why different things are happening to you, because
it is. But why not 12 or 13 as opposed, you know what I'm saying? It's just I think a little bit of it is like TV convenience.
Yeah, because adult actors don't have to take the breaks that child actors do. So.
It's very difficult to pass off a 22-year-old as a 13-year-old, whereas it's pretty easy to pass them off as a 16 or 17-year-old. Anyway, I just thought that was humorous. I'd throw it out there.
Plus, I mean, the target audience is also that age, and they also want the let's bring in all the good-looking hot actors and actresses, because that'll sell. We'll get a lot of viewership that way. Right? Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not complaining.
Reaction to 12-year-old actors on the show. Yeah, well, exactly.
No, because it would be creepy.
Yes. So, we see Steven trying to be a bit better, and he sits down with his mom and asks about his dad and why he left and why they changed their name, and it was kind of a sweet scene and a powerful scene to see this back and forth between the two of them.
Yeah, so this was a good scene. We've touched on this a little bit, but some of the notes that I had here were I don't think she knew the full truth, or maybe she did, but she knew more than I thought she did. You know, they were clearly running. She knew that they moved around a lot. I mean, she, admits that, but I assume they're running from Jed, but I don't think she knows like who they're running from. I think she is just thinking that it's all part of the dad. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Jack, thank you. All part of like his mental illness. Although honestly, like maybe aside from appearing to be paranoid by making them move all the time, he doesn't seem very mentally ill to me. He's just very clearly living a double life. So I'm really curious why all of this is being kind of like passed off, I guess, as like mental illness. I feel like chronic sleepwalking, while problematic, is not a sign of like severe mental illness that needs to be medicated. Like, does that make sense? So I guess I'm just kind of like questioning why they're assuming they're all mentally ill, aside from maybe like I can see the paranoia piece of them being made to move around all the time, of there's something bad going to happen, but I can't tell you what it is. And I mean, it is kind of classic signs of, I don't know, of some mental illnesses, some paranoid, like paranoid schizophrenia, I think.
Yeah, we're still very foggy on how much she knew in these moments. It's hard to tell. But I was thinking something funny came across to me. Both kids' names start with J. We got Jack and Jedediah, but we truly kind of have to blame whoever their parents were, because you name a kid Jedediah, I mean, that's villainous right there. You set him up for a bad path. What hero is ever called Jedediah?
It is difficult. It is difficult to say.
Yeah,
it's not surprising they shortened that to Jed.
Yeah, and that name is from the original series, but it was a very different storyline.
It's a villainous name,
so that's kind of honoring
like
that.
Jack's
but
heroic.
still,
We've seen many Jacks being heroes. Jedediah, no. Like imagine Superman being called Jedediah Kent.
Yeah.
Like, no, you don't sound like a hero.
Caleb.
So we did get to see a very cool scene, which is my favorite scene, of John and Cara sparring as they talk about Steven and the whole situation. And so this was a fun one to watch them kind of.
Was it the dialogue, or was it the fact that they were showing lots of skin and getting very sweaty in this scene? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a yes and situation.
It was a very sexy moment for sure.
Yeah.
It was actually like, I think, was this one of the pictures, Jeff, that you, is this the picture that you used for the
discussion thread? Yeah.
Because like, I'm not going to lie. I looked at that only on Facebook before I watched the episode, and I'm like, are they having sex? Like, why did he pick this photo? I was like, that's racy, like crazy, especially given the name of the episode. Anyway, but yeah, it was a good scene.
It was a good scene, fun. But they do say a lot. There's a lot of good conversation during that fight moment, so we'll hear it again and talk about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. Yeah.
So a bit later, John's working on Tim's upgrade. And so Cara and Russell come in to kind of confront him about bringing in Kurt and really taking Steven's side. And, they point out to him that he risked his safety and other safety to bring both of them in. And, the thought of survival versus standing up for their own kind. And so they're really kind of saying, listen, you did this for us. Why can't you do the same for other folks?
Yeah. See, this is just kind of one of those really tough things. I think it's hard to save your people when you're trying to stay hidden. especially like when your numbers are too big to hide away. But it's also tough to save your people if you rush out guns blazing and everybody gets killed or captured or whatever it is that, you know, Jed is ultimately doing. So it's like kind of the classic Sophie's Choice or Catch-22. It's like there's not really a good answer here. You kind of just have to do what you think is best in the moment. So I think they've been doing what they can for now, and now they're kind of reaching maybe an inflection point where they
can you
might
save
need
your
to do
people
a
if
little
you
bit
don't
more.
try to go save them one at a time? Like, if you just leave it as the 12 that you saved so far, you're not going to survive. You're not going to be able to evolve and become more. So it's a tough choice. But, you know, Ultra is fast onto them. So it is a tough situation they're in. But I like that John is working on Tim. It seems like there's a prior relationship there between the two of them. You know, if Tim was maybe that was part of John's job, because he talks about how he's mentioned a few times now, I used to work for Ultra. Maybe he is a bit of a tech guy and was helping with that stuff while he was there.
Yeah.
It would also explain Tim's loyalty if John, maybe John really did build him and then stole him from Ultra.
Yeah. This could be a... what's one of the stories in Marvel that we keep talking about? Not Grant Gustin, but Barry Allen built Gideon originally, and now she ends up being the ship, the computer on the time ship, right? So,
yes,
you know, yeah,
yes, but that's not supposed to be the same Gideon. Right?
Yeah, it's just the idea that the loyalty of Gideon to
but
everybody is because Flash originally built her, right? So.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All the time ships had Gideons, but
they weren't our Gideon. Yeah, because there was
different,
male,
like different voices and different. Yeah, and that kind of stuff.
They all started with G, though.
Yeah. So, but anyway. All right. So Steven finds Kurt spying on his mom. And so he confronts him, and he's talking to him about the Tomorrow People, almost to the point of getting him to come along with him. And then Vaughn shows up and just takes out Steven.
That seems funny, because when you say spying, I feel like spying is a bad word. I don't know if, like, would he be spying on his mom or more so watching over her, because he's been missing for who knows how long, and he's just kind of checking up to make sure she's okay. Because it seems like he kind of cares about his mom, because he's been robbing banks to help her pay for stuff. So, yeah, just interesting there. I mean, I got the feeling he was maybe making sure nobody's following her, because he saw what happened the day before when his home got attacked. I'm not sure. It's interesting to understand. I think there's more to Kurt. He seems like a troubled kid, but he cares a lot about his mom. But I really liked how this led to some cool action moments. Like there were some cool scenes as they're teleporting through the walls and chasing each other through the construction building. Like, it was pretty cool. There was some neat stuff that they were doing there, and giving us some action that we haven't seen really. Like teleportation, we never got a lot of use out of in all our other superhero shows. So they're using it to some fun ideas here. I mean, the scene when Steven gets ahead of Vaughn and is waiting. He picks up a 2x4 and he knows he's going to teleport right here. Whack! As he comes through. I mean, it's smart. It's fun. I know you're going to end up right here because I just did it.
So we finish up on the roof where we started the episode, and so Steven and Kurt are kind of going back and forth, and like Kurt's like basically using his powers to push him off the roof. And yeah, I get like Steven not wanting to like push back too much because he wants to bring Kurt in, but I'm like, dude, you know, you stopped time last episode. You can do stuff. Can you not put up a little more fight? And like he's being
Save
pushed off the roof, and John has to, come
I
in
wonder-
and save him.
Yeah, I
So-
wonder if he
I
couldn't
guess panic.
get his power activated at that moment, or like I don't know what was happening there, because he should have been able to push back, but yeah, I don't know. There was something because he hasn't fought other telekinetic powers yet. This is the first time he's faced someone shooting, telekinetic force at him. So maybe he didn't know how to react back to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is not battle trained, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he spent the entire beginning of the episode telling us that his powers were unpredictable at the moment because he doesn't have full control. So I'm guessing they fritzed out. Maybe, in the panic wasn't enough to like reignite them.
Yeah, that could be the case. And it could be that the telekinetic powers are one of the ones that he is not yet as strong in, like,
Well,
some
and
of the
actually,
other
with
ones he
you
may be
guys
a
saying
little
that, if you think
stronger
about it,
in, so.
the episode opens with him training at Ultra, and we see Jed bounce a ball, and he has to teleport from one side of the room to the other side and grab it before it hits the ground again. So he was practicing his teleporting, but then we see him using his telekinetic powers to try to lift the weight, and he could get it up, but he couldn't control it, and then he dropped it. And it wasn't until the very end of the episode, after all this happened, we could see him lifting the weight again, and he had much better control over it. So maybe he wasn't at that readiness yet, and that's why Kurt was pushing him over.
Yeah.
Which were cool. Speaking of those training scenes, I don't know if you have them in notes here. Those are actually cool trainings. Like, how fun would that be to be able to teleport across the room and do, just like, imagine the games you could play with that. It's a lot of fun stuff.
Man, it saved me a lot of money on my commute.
And that was a lot of weight he was lifting with his mind. Like, trying to understand telekinesis. Like, when you go to move something bigger and heavier, is it more strain on your brain when the item gets heavier?
I would assume so.
Mm-hmm. I would assume so, but yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyway.
Food for thought.
Yeah. So Cara thankfully talks Kurt into coming in and being a part of the group, and they're able to get him out. But we get major fallout when Steven gets back to Ultra, and like he has to face Jed's wrath for letting Kurt go, and Jed kind of calls him out on it, and like we get the whole scene about the watch, of finding out that he knows what the watch is, he knows it's a deflection, and so it means Steven is going into this big debrief without that protection.
Yeah.
So.
We got this scene coming up as well, but man, was it intense. Holy cow. Like that. You guys keep talking about how good Peregrino is.
Kind of
boy,
terrifying.
I would not want to be sitting across the room being interrogated by him.
No.
Especially to know that he's like 10 steps ahead of you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Steven calls Cara and needs help, and so she tells him to fill his mind with a memory or something that's overwhelming when he's giving these telepathic answers, and it works. It he brings up the memory of his dad leaving, and it enables him to kind of get past this.
What I find cool about that is that your emotional control can cover your thoughts, like kind of provide a camouflage to your thoughts. So that was actually pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. That was kind of an interesting twist. I was like, how is he going to get around this? So that was neat to see.
Yeah. So we've talked about this before. There's people over Jed, and basically Vaughn gets killed for his failure because, Jed doesn't want any, loose ends, or, he doesn't accept anything but the best. So Vaughn suffers for it.
I mean,
Yep.
someone has to be funding this project. We kind of get, Jedediah kind of says, hey, I have bosses too. There's people above me. But who? I don't know if we ever find out who, but it kind of makes sense because I don't think we ever got any inkling that Jedediah is rich. Somebody's funding this project. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a good point. Good point.
So, kind of closing up with Steven, he is wanting to be that better brother, that better son, that better friend, and he's making this effort to be there and to live that more normal life for those around him, and so that was neat to see.
Nice monologue scene there. I love because it kind of, we've got this a couple times now. We get the monologue of him kind of explaining to us what the current situation is. So it keeps updating as his life is changing. He keeps updating where it all is, and that kind of gives us a springboard to head into the next chapter. Kind of going back to what you're saying in the beginning of the show, Harley, that the pace of the show is really accelerating quickly, and you like that. I think this helps that. Instead of it just jumping ahead and we're all like, what's going on here? I can't keep up. Him giving us this little monologue kind of helps us advance to the next stage. It's actually kind of, it works in that way.
Yeah, no, I think it's been working well, and I don't know how much of this they'll keep up throughout the rest of the season here, but I do like that we do get these monologues, like you said, that he is kind of like narrating to sort of like keep us informed. So I like that. I think it's working well. I don't know how long they'll keep it up. I feel like that might, kind of like it did in Arrow, like we'll after 22 episodes, does this narrative device get kind of old? But at least in the beginning, it's been very helpful. I agree. Yeah.
And I really appreciate that Stephen and John come together and they both admit their failures and their mistrust of each other and things like that. And the touch point of, we find out that Jack gave the watch to John as a not only as a protection, but a reminder to be brave, and how that touches back to Jack's talking with Stephen as a child to be brave, and how that shared memory and that shared relationship with Jack kind of knits them two together and shows them that they've got more in common than they do having these differences with each other.
They have to build a type of relationship too, because they're that trust was broken, so they got to reestablish that trust with each other and work together to save their people. Because they have his dad in common. John obviously really believed in Stephen's dad and really trusted him as the leader of their people and who's going to help them. And Stephen's just learning about his dad, so there's that they can connect to. I mean, Stephen could ask him all kinds of questions. What was my dad like? Because he left when I was 7. Like, tell me more about my dad. And I think it's a great entry point for them to really build a brotherly bond, basically.
Yeah. True. Yeah. And, the interesting thing is Stephen wants to get out from Ultra, and John says, like, no, you can't. And so it's like, you get that of like, you get the Stephen coming around to saying, listen, like, you're right, I can't be there. And John's like, I understand, but you have to be there. We need, for the good of everybody, we need you. So, like, it's kind of funny how John changed his first. He's like, that's a bad idea. What are you doing?
And now, after everything had happened, he's like, you know what? I actually think this is a good idea. You get in there and get us secret information and all that kind of stuff. Like, he changed his tune over the course of the day. So,
yeah. So we get this closing scene with Jed and the Inquisitor there. So he knows that Steven lied. He knows that debrief was a little too clean. And so he knows that Steven's working with the Tomorrow People, and they're going to use that to get to the location of the Tomorrow People. And that's why I think Tim is not feeding them any information, because they wouldn't need Steven if they had that link.
And again, this calls back
Tim,
to you guys keep talking about how good of a villain and Pellegrino is acting the villain role, because he's sitting there patting Steven on the back. Great job. You did so good. You passed the test with flying colors. Now I know I can trust you and send you on missions and everything. I bought it too. I thought, all right, he did good and he's proud of him. He trusts Steven. Like, he sold me on it too. But it's so weird, because we get the scene where we see Steven training, lifting the weight again with his mind. And you see Jed in the background going, yeah, keep an eye on him. Like, and she's like, why? You don't believe him? Well, no, like, he's, I know he's still hanging out with his friends, and we'll just use Steven to track down the Tomorrow People. So it gave me a really weird feeling, because I got the sense that he believes Steven, like, he passed the test and he believes Steven told them the truth, because I don't think he believes Steven could beat his telepath at her own game yet. But I think he knows that Steven's a kid, and no matter what, he's going to want to help his friends. Even though he's working for his uncle, he still wants to help his friends, because that's what teenagers do. And he just wants to kind of keep an eye on him and catch him in the act. And that's what he tells his telepath. Like, watch him until we can catch him, until he makes a mistake and he gives something away. If we keep an eye on him, he'll make a mistake and lead us to his team. That's kind of the feeling that I got. I think he believed that he did pass the test, but he knows that he's going to go back to his friends anyway. And, like I said, make him. That's just the feeling I got. It was a really weird, I don't, unless he's such a good villain that, like, he sold me. So maybe he's selling me on that too. I don't know. Do you know what I'm getting at with the feeling, or you guys aren't feeling that at all?
No, I mean, I definitely get the feeling that he's saying one thing and meaning another. Like, he's definitely playing that because he needs Steven. Well, he thinks he's buying Steven's trust, but I don't think he's ever going to buy Steven's trust. Steven's just trying to make himself appear to be, like, believable. And so Jed wants Steven to think, that he can believe, that he believes him. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a weird turn your head in circles kind of back and forth thing. Mm-hmm. But I fully believe that Jed is the master manipulator, and he will probably at some point come out victorious. So we'll just have to see when.
This is the X-Men cross with Star Wars. He's Emperor Palpatine trying to get at his Jedi with the mind tricks.
Yes.
But I got a question, though, because right in that same moment when he's talking to his telepath, and he says, once we find his friends, we'll kill them all. Steven looks over his shoulder with this look of concern on his face. Did he hear or read Jed's mind in that moment? Because he looked really worried, like, what did I just hear?
I don't know. I didn't catch that. So
I clocked that also. I don't know if he overheard him, or if he I mean, because Jed's obviously not speaking telepathically, but maybe his telepathic abilities, which seem to be decently strong because he can communicate with Cara pretty frequently and pretty easily. So I wonder if maybe Yeah, so I wonder if maybe it like almost extends his like
wondering.
hearing capabilities
Mm.
a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the
Why would he
only way
turn
that I
over
can
his shoulder
think of
like,
that
huh?
it actually
And
makes
look
sense.
concerned, like,
Yeah.
what did I just hear? Yeah.
I think he heard him. I think he 100% heard him, which is why it'll be interesting to see it moving forward because you know he played it so that Steven wouldn't know, but then Steven was able to overhear that Jed knows, and you know it's this whole mind game. That I would say timey-wimey, but it doesn't even involve time travel, but it's very wibbly wobbly. So
Okay. We'll track that. See
That's
if
how I
anything
feel about
comes
it.
out of that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Mm.
So, finishing up, we get this scene between Steven and Cara, and we find out that there are safe zones in the city where
immediately at the sushi bar.
where Ultra can't find Tomorrow people. So there's something about those locations that kind of shield activity.
Did they explain it?
And tracking and things like that.
I don't remember.
Cara, so Cara says she doesn't know why, but she says how, but she said one of us made it. So a Tomorrow person made this particular zone. So we don't know how necessarily. It's not, she doesn't explain it, but she says there are like these safe zones which they can go to. So there's, Tomorrow people creating them. So, but we don't know how, we don't know who, that kind of stuff. So,
well, I guess isn't that what Steven's dad was supposedly off doing, finding the place where they could all go and finally be
little test spots,
right? Yeah,
or safe zones for all around the city. Like if you're in trouble, get here and you'll be safe until I can come get you. Right? Okay, that's cool. Though. That's sweet to have.
Yeah. So, and so we have this conversation between the two of them, and he jokingly asks, "Is this a safe zone from your boyfriend?" And she's like, "Okay, it's not like that." I'm like, "Okay, it sure seemed like that to me." Like
that's everybody, every guy or girl's trick to get the answer. Because if you don't know if two people are together and you like one of them, that's how you find out. You make a joke about it, and that's how you get your information.
Yeah, but
Making
like
it hard.
she's like playing it off, like that they're not in a relationship, but like it seems like
To
they
John,
really
they
are. So
are.
it's
To
like,
her, they
I don't know,
they
but
were,
anyway,
but I think she's developing something for Steven, and that's why she doesn't really want to say, "I'm not available." I could be available for you.
Ooh. Okay. But he does. Steven ends up showing her the memory that he used to block out the Inquisitor there. So of his
she
dad
says
leaving,
she's been there with him through all of this. So I wonder if she knew that already, or this just helps her understand everything he's trying to tell them. I think that's why he showed it to her, just to get somebody to understand where he's coming from.
Yeah.
So good. I like the breadcrumbs that the show's laying down. It's even though it's going quickly, it's leaving us with stuff that we need to find out more for, which is cool. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's it for our discussion. Let's pause for our ad break here. If we get some, do you guys get ads when you listen? You always get I think the middle section is where we always get them. Once in a while, they're in the beginning.
Yep.
Oh, do you? Okay. What about the end?
Well, I get them at the beginning and the middle.
I get them all over the place. Although sometimes, if I don't always get them in the middle. Every once in a while when I'm listening, and I think it just depends on the time that I'm listening. But I'll get one. I'll get some in the middle, and then
so
sometimes
interesting.
I won't. But
I get them in the middle.
always have
100% of the time. It never fails. They're always here.
Yeah.
It's the beginning ones that I don't always get. So it's fun.
It's interesting. Yeah,
Interesting.
I know a lot of it is region based.
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff and I are relatively close geographically, but not close enough to maybe have the same experience. So that's interesting.
It's interesting. Some of the ads that come in are very
Yeah.
specific to my region in
Yeah.
North
And
Carolina,
what-
and then
what's common?
others
Yep.
are more generalized. But yeah,
Really?
I get a lot of ads in
weird.
Spanish, which is fun.
Oh, okay. And
Oh, yeah.
what is
Yeah,
usually being
every now and
advertised
then
for
I've
you
got one
guys?
of those. But yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, there's a
I don't really listen.
electronics store, like electronics and furniture and that kind of stuff. It's out of Charlotte, but they've got different locations. It's so that's one of the ones. A couple times it was FanDuel and other betting stuff because
Okay.
online betting is
Right.
now legal in North Carolina, sports betting. And so that's the big push on everything, like TV, everything. So it's like all my ads and like Facebook and other places are all like betting sites now that betting is legal.
I find it interesting
Sports betting
because
is
they have to
legal in
buy
North
the
Carolina,
ad space
so-
on our podcast. So, we open the contracts through Libsyn to buy ad space, and companies go to Libsyn, hey, we want to buy ads, and they're like, Libsyn's like, all right, we've got this podcast that is selling 30-second ads, whatever, and they buy it, and that's how ads get on here. For me, I mostly get advertising for other podcasts, but yeah, like it's.
Oh, really?
Wow.
But
that's
they're ones that
interesting.
they're not
I
ones that
almost
like it'd be
never
like
get
No.
a woman's show about home living or whatever. But most of them seem, like you said, very graphically generated because a lot of them seem like it's Canadian content. Like, oh, these two ladies in Vancouver, Canada, are creating quilts for the homeless, and here's our show about what they're doing. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. Why are they paying for advertising? But it's crazy, or it's.
They decided
So
that our audience
it's interesting.
was
It's just really
their
interesting
fit,
to see what's coming.
Yes.
I haven't gotten politics. I haven't gotten gambling. I haven't gotten anything. It's
Yeah.
mostly advertising shows and other networks.
Interesting.
I'll try to pay better attention.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
lie. An ad pops on, and I
I
just
listen
tune
to
in.
it because I think if you let it play through, then that generates more income because they can track whether people listen to it or fast forward it.
Oh, I let it play.
Yeah.
I let it play. I just
Yeah, you
try
just
not.
don't care.
I just don't like. I hear it, but I'm like, I don't remember. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not in. I'm not into this.
Mm.
I'm more likely to remember a host read ad that blends in seamlessly to the podcast because, well,
Yeah.
it feels like it's part of the podcast. But the dynamic ones, because I think we should continue to tell people that they're
Yeah.
coming. But yeah, I don't. It comes on, I tune it out, I hear our voices.
Yeah, we
and I'm
don't.
like,
I don't think we have enough. We can't do the host read ones yet until we get more numbers. But
No, yeah, I know that's.
it'd be fun to do. It'd be fun if we could all read a commercial. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd just be like reading our intros.
That would be terrifying.
We got
My
practice.
voice
It'd be
acting
great.
is
You got
so
8 years of
great.
practice.
I know.
All right, let's get into
All right.
favorite scenes.
All right.
Favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Shape out an eagle!
All right, I think mine comes up first. I'm calling this one Leaping Before Thinking, and this is early in the episode when we were talking about how Steven teleports right into the Tomorrow People's hideout to warn them about what's happening, not realizing that he could have just led Ultra right to them, and John and Cara aren't happy about it. It's a pretty cool scene. I just, talking about the acting, I like Cara and John's response. John is really pissed off, and I just like the performance here, expressing that. So here's that one.
Gonna have to mark you down on the dismount.
Yeah, still working out a few kinks with the whole teleporting thing.
What are you doing here?
Wow, what happened to the whole welcome, Steven? You're one of us. We're the Lost Boys speech.
That was before you went to work for Ultra and Jedediah.
He's right. You have no idea what you've gotten yourself into.
Actually, I do. Okay, that's why I'm here, to give you guys a heads up. They were inside my head today. If I didn't leave, they might have figured out I've been talking to you.
You're not talking to us. You're not seeing us. Not anymore.
it's not like I want to work there, okay? I'm doing it because I have to. Because I have a life and a family.
You're not the only one who had a human life. Ask Cara about the little sister she left behind. We all made sacrifices, Stephen. Somehow, you think you're special.
You don't think I know what it's like to lose someone? Up until last week, I thought my dad, your great hero, was just some human loser who left me. Now I don't know what to think other than he's alive. But how are you gonna find him if you're hiding down here like a bunch of paranormal refugees? I will do whatever it takes to find my dad. If that means working for Ultra, fine.
Jedediah's goal is to eliminate our species from the face of the planet. I worked there, Stephen. I know. Getting inside your head, it's just the beginning. You haven't even scratched the surface of what they can do. And as long as you're down here, the rest of us aren't safe.
Now that's an intense opening into your title screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
John was pissed.
Yeah.
Like, you just put all of us at risk. It was. That's why I love that scene. Whew.
Very good.
Yeah, definitely. Guess I'm up next.
Yeah, looks like it. Yep.
Okay. All right. So I called this Lover's Fight. So let's take a listen.
Yeah, let's listen to some sweaty brawling. All right.
I lost track of you last night. Hope you didn't hit our favorite hotel suite without me.
I saw Steven.
I also noticed my watch is missing. Any correlation?
It's not like I gave away your Letterman jacket.
I don't care about the watch.
Really? You seem a tad upset.
I'm trying to protect us.
And I am trying to protect Steven.
Who's working for Ultra?
We need him. You know that. Steven is the chosen one, remember?
Just because the two of you are all mind melding doesn't mean you couldn't sell us out in a heartbeat.
Jealous much?
You're kidding.
He did stop time.
I don't care what he did or who his father is. I will not let Stephen take the rest of us down with him. Understand?
Yeah. I think I got it.
Yeah, I mean, this lover spat between the two of them, it was interesting because, again, we talked about it in the episode. John wants to protect the group from Ultra and doesn't trust Steven, and Cara knows they have to have Steven to win this thing, and so it was just kind of interesting to see them going back and forth at it.
Well, I just liked how they each took turns turning the fight around and getting on top. I mean, if I was John, I'd be like, yeah, you won. I'm not getting up.
They're very evenly matched.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. It was good.
Let's see. All right, Harley, what do you got to finish it off?
All right. I have a scene called Debriefing.
Okay, let me just see if I can get this straight here. You could have captured the breakout, but instead you bulldozed your supervising agent and let the target go free. He's green. I should have ample time to explain yourself, Mr. Vaughn. Right now we're focused on Steven. Okay?
I'm not helping you execute a kid. No, maybe I don't belong here.
Well, I'm not offering you a choice. Powers like yours, I'm afraid we can't let you just walk away. No. You know what I'd like to believe is that this is just the isolated act of a naive mind. If, however, it was something else, if it's a conspiracy to hand over a deviant breakout to the Tomorrow people, then I have to say that would be quite unforgivable. Anything you want to tell me, Stephen?
No?
Good. Well, then your debrief should be a piece of cake.
Isn't this the debrief?
Oh, no, that's done by a senior telepath. She's very thorough. That's new.
Pretty old, actually.
Yeah? It was your dad's. Beautiful watch. One would never suspect. D-chip. Deflects telepathy. Clever. Always the tinkerer, your dad. I even keep this. I really don't want anything compromising your first debriefing.
The underlying music every time Jed is talking, wow.
I know it's pretty sinister, but he's pretty sinister. So, I think what I love about this entire scene is it very much feels like, you know, like one of those memes that you see. It's like, tell me without telling me. You know what I mean? He's like, so by the way, I'm just gonna choose to think this is you being naive instead of what I know this is, without him saying what I know it is. So it's very masterful. It's very manipulative. It shows that he is very much 10 steps ahead of everyone, and that Stephen is very, very, very out of his league.
Yeah. And I love he's like, so anything you should tell me? No. Oh, okay. Well, and he's he's so, he's one of the best for sure.
I know. Such a great villain.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's remind everybody how they can support the show, like our new friend Sci-Fi Gene. This is what you do.
If you'd like to support our podcast, you can do so at our Patreon page at www.patreon.com/tomorrowslegends.
If you don't dial, it will cry like a violin.
All right, I just want to throw this one in here. We had a Facebook post from Jeff Childs, because I think it's something we can talk about. He said, I have questions about their teleporting. Like, when Kurt bamfs to the roof during their chase, how does Steven know to just bamf to the roof as well?
I had that same question. How can they follow each other?
I don't know if they explain that. I don't remember anything. I mean, in that instance, could it just be a guess that we're like up on this building, you know, at some construction level? Where else is it going to go?
There's nowhere, like, kind of like probability almost, like there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah, unless there's...
Yeah. Or like, what would I do if I were him? Kind of like trying to put yourself in his shoes.
Yeah.
Or is there a telepathic connection that you can tell where he went?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if there's some type of mentally being able to get glimpses of him or whatever. So like, or like
feeling where he went without realizing that's what you're doing yet.
Yeah, yeah, that's great question, Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I had the same question. I'm glad you brought it
up. Because it is a good one to try to tear apart. Unless, like, as a person who has these powers, we see when they bamf, like the BAMF, they bamf. It's like it's kind of like Nightcrawler. Like, you see a little poof of something open up and they go through it. I wonder if there's a quick moment that you can see where they're headed.
That's possible.
Yeah, I mean, because like it depends on the teleporter. Like, Nightcrawler goes through another dimension, and that thing that you're seeing is the air of that other dimension. There are teleporters like Blink who can open like portals, and they're passing through, and you can visibly see those things through the port. So we just we don't know yet.
Cool. We'll see if they let us know, but that might just be one of the things we just have to accept, that you can.
Yeah, you can just follow people.
What if I don't know if this is science-based, but Kurt teleports out and he leaves, like I said, there's that darkness, smokiness, whatever. What if Steven jumping into that exact same spot just automatically puts him to the same location. He just has to activate his teleportation, but it automatically puts him in the same, because he left from the same spot.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea. It's good theory.
Because it's the same thing when they're teleporting through the walls. I mean, are they just assuming he's teleporting to the other side?
That was my question. I'm like, how did they know that's exactly where he went?
Instead of just,
and also, why is he doing it this way? Why doesn't he just go somewhere else?
Yeah, I don't know. It just might be one we just have to, hand wave away. Like, whatever. It's just cool to watch.
It is cool to watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Next up, an email from Comic Geek Kev. When do you guys take it?
I'll take it. So, good day, legends. So, at the beginning of the show, Steven can already telekinetically clean his room without looking?
Yeah.
And it seemed like he wasn't really trying. Okay.
Well, he was monologuing. He said at that moment, he said, sometimes my powers work for me and sometimes they don't. And they were expressing that this is a working moment.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
anyway, it was a pretty good follow-up to the pilot. A little more background on Steven's parents' history, as well as his own with his father.
Mm-hmm.
He's really seeing what lengths Ultra is willing to go to reach their goals, and how harsh their punishments can be. By the way, Ultra is sort of a silly name for an organization. Just saying.
Always reminds me of MK Ultra, that famous LSD experimentation thing.
Oh.
I've got a thing with like the CIA Black Ops tonight. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't mind that name.
Yeah, so to give y'all a fun channel to watch, a YouTube channel to watch if you love conspiracies. It's it's fun. It's the Y-Files.
Okay.
Eric is obsessed.
Yes,
Eric is obsessed with this.
I found him thanks to his TikTok, but he's got all these, he tells you the conspiracy, makes you sound like he believes it, and then he tries to debunk it, and he's got his co-host is a fish, so
yes.
Fish in a
I've seen that guy. Yeah.
So he does all the conspiracy theories, including talking about MK Ultra and all this stuff. But anyway,
that fish is creepy because you're looking at it and you're like, is that a real fish? And then you see it actually moving around and you're thinking, wait a second, it is a real fish, but it's got eyes, like human eyes. What is going on there? And it messes with you.
Yeah. All right. Getting back. I wonder if there is a reason that this story puts Steven in high school and not at least a freshman in college. Amel was probably 25 or so at the time and does not pass for a 16, 17-year-old. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier.
Yes.
Again, I don't really mind. When he's clean shaven, he looks 18 to me.
Yeah. But I guess it's better than when they have a 30-year-old paying high schoolers.
Yeah, Smallville.
Yeah. And how old are the other Tomorrow people in relation to him? I think we talked about this as well.
20-ish.
Probably in
20 to 22, I would imagine.
Yeah, somewhere in there, yeah. Should the potential love triangle really be a thing here?
That's kind of a good point.
Yeah, 16 and okay, yep. Sorry.
Well, did they establish what is Steven is a senior or not? We haven't really heard. He might be 18.
He might be. Let's hope.
Yeah.
This is really a potential.
Well, his brother does go to school with them. So
I kind of feel like he's 18 and a senior in high school. I think that's kind of what I thought.
Let's hope.
Yeah. So I assume that Cara and John are older. I don't think it's been established, but just the backstory suggests to me that they are at least several years older. And Jedediah is employing this teenager. I don't know. The whole age thing is problematic on several levels.
Well, he's doing evening shifts, right? He comes to work after school. So it's just like a part-time job.
Like an internship almost.
Yeah. The teleporting chase was pretty cool. But why didn't Steven use his TK power to defend himself on the roof?
Well,
he literally just cleaned his room without looking. The situation seems a little more stressful, and that he could have at least pushed back or kept himself from almost going over the side of the building. As with all of these shows, powers just seem to be inconsistent.
I think we debunked or like pulled that one apart pretty good. I think he was in the middle of not being fully in control of that part of his power set yet. That's why the training sequence in the beginning where he fails versus the training sequence at the end where he's doing better. His telekinesis, I think, is the last one to develop for him.
I like Tim, although he's no Gideon. Yeah, agreed. And I think they're using him well. He's useful for certain things, but he's not all-knowing or anything like that.
Yeah, Tim's cool. Tim's got to stand for something because they're all acronyms. Like, I wonder what Tim stands for.
Yeah.
So find out.
Yeah. Overall, I think the show is enjoyable and a good break from shows that are a little more deep. Although the depth has never been something that the CW was accused of.
Yeah.
Effects, performances, and story are all entertaining, and having forgotten almost everything about it, I'm looking forward to viewing the rest along with the Legends. I'm giving this one 8 out of 10 poorly placed mop buckets. And soggy feet because of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until next time, Comic Geek Kev.
That was actually a really funny scene because he's, again, it's showing us that he's not fully trained. He can't decide exactly where he wants to go all the time. And this was one, I think he meant to teleport somewhere around there, but not like in the quick. Because when he comes out of the room, Astra's like, "Where did you come from?" Like, you come out of the janitor's closet. Like, so
yeah,
he probably
I don't think he meant to go inside. I think he's trying to get outside so he could walk around and pretend like he just got there. And meet up with her. That's my guess.
Exactly. But the way you describe it at the end here, Kev, is like the reason the show is enjoyable is because it isn't super deep. We don't have to rack our brains. We don't have to expect Emmy-nominated stuff here. It's just a fun show based on all the things that we like. Superpowers and sci-fi and whatever. That's what we're here for. We're just trying to have fun with it.
Yeah, it's been fun so far.
Yeah, and we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here to avoid these malt buckets with us. So yeah. Next up is Perry White, and I forgot to actually. He sent us an email. 1 second, I forgot to actually copy and paste the email in.
I was wondering if maybe it was still a voicemail, but
Let me just grab it real quick here. There it is. I will let you read this one, Harley, as soon as I get it in here. That's so weird I didn't copy and paste it. There we go.
All right. Hey, peeps of tomorrow. Perry here with Into Deep feedback. I have to admit, this wasn't my favorite hour of television. I'm not the biggest fan of reluctant chosen one stories. Even by that standard, this episode was a bit rough for me.
Oh, man.
I know. From the moment Steven met the Tomorrow People, they've warned him of Ultra's evil ways. He was even black-bagged and kidnapped by them the previous episode. So it strains credibility that it took Ultra killing his partner for Steven to believe Ultra Evil Incorporated were really bad guys. He's not. The other thing that bugs me is that John has been the Tomorrow People's salvation for the past 2 years. But when Steven shows up with his wide-eyed naivete and conviction to risk everything to save Kurt at the expense of everyone else, all of a sudden, Cara and Russell question John's leadership. That didn't land well with me. Anyway, I'm not trying to be a downer, but I was less than whelmed by this episode. Who knows, maybe your analysis and other feedback can switch my dour perspective of the episode. Oh, let's hope so. Anyway, good or bad, Perry will be here with feedback, meeting his deadline like page 1 depends on it. Take care, people of tomorrow's legends.
All right, what can we do to turn his perspective around?
I'm hoping listening to the podcast and making it to his feedback did that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, listening to us and then maybe viewing it from a perspective that we were kind of looking at it, because this was a popular idea for a show that, like The Chosen One. We've seen it done a lot.
Yes.
So he's just the son of the person who had the most power, and I don't know.
It's a popular trope. I mean, it's a popular literary trope as well. I mean, the savior, the chosen.
Yeah.
It's all the same.
But I mean, his question about how Cara and Russell suddenly start questioning John's leadership, I think that was already in there because Cara was reaching out to Steven to begin with before John even knew about him. So she kind of had a sense that they need something more. And I think, John's been leading them for 2 years, and it's been the same. It's been the same exact stagnant way, and things haven't gotten any better. So Steven comes in, provides a different angle, a different perspective, and a little bit different type of energy. And maybe it just woke them up. They're like, you know what? Maybe we do need this. And they want to question John and get, invested in a different way of doing things. To me, it's okay. So maybe I don't know if that helps a little bit.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. I don't know. Let's see what Dreamweaver had to say.
Hello, Legendaires. Dreamweaver here with my thoughts on the Tomorrow People Episode 2, Into Deep. First off, Steven does something that I would totally do if I had telekinesis, and he uses it to clean up his room without touching anything. Secondly, with that, it seems he has a pretty good handle on his telekinesis from that scene, so I assume a little bit of time has passed since the pilot, but throughout the episode it also shows that he's struggling with his teleportation. Which, this is only episode 2, so that's good. I would have been annoyed if he was super great at everything by episode 2. And we also get to see more of Ultra, how they essentially have an information hub that is keeping track of literally anything that may be connected to the Tomorrow People or someone breaking out. Scary. Which is how they find the new guy that seems to be not only breaking out, but possibly breaking bad by robbing a bank. And he's a teleporter named Kurt. The parallels to X-Men are uncanny. Anyway, while we're on that power, it seems like they don't need to teleport specifically just line of sight or by previously seeing the spot, because they seem to just be popping up all over the place wherever they feel like, it seems. I wonder what their range is, because it feels like they can go at least a few miles at a time. Steven's not great out in the field right now, on the power side yet, but he is good on the trying to connect on a one-to-one level with Kurt, understanding the similarity between both of their situations when everyone else was already writing him off because he seemed troubled or antisocial. Did none of the Tomorrow People ever think to stop and ask why? John seems to be pretty set on not risking their own lives to help others that are breaking out, that are already on Ultra's radar, but that seems pretty counterintuitive to what they're trying to do. I know they're scared and trying to protect themselves, and the whole not being able to kill thing kind of gets in the way, but just hanging the other people with powers out to dry because it might be a little risky just because they're already on Ultra's radar? Steven was right to call out John on that, especially reminding him that they seem to have put themselves into dangerous situations before to help others, like it seems like they were hinted at with Cara and Russell and how they got to be with a group of Tomorrow People there. And not to draw more X-Men parallels, but it felt like Steven was trying to tell them that they need to be out there like the X-Men, and John is happy just being like the Morlocks and staying underground. No, not in a one-to-one comparison, considering those mutants couldn't pass for human, but still felt a bit of a resemblance when I was watching it. You know what else Steven is good at now? Ditching his family and friends. He forgot his little brother, forgot that he invited Astrid over, even though he said he was going to do what he needed to help not only the Tomorrow People, but to help his family as well. He's already slipping with those responsibilities here. And it's making his mother draw comparisons to him and his father, who to him is still very much a deadbeat dad, and he doesn't want to see himself take on that same role within this family. That seems really important to him. But you know what Steven is bad at? Being undercover. I know he's supposed to be like 17 here, so that's expected, but he's not really doing a great job at selling that he's all in on Ultra. He wasn't very subtle with knocking out Vaughn or going into that debrief, And for a moment, I thought that it was all too clean and that Jedediah wasn't noticing until that last scene where it showed that Jedediah was picking him on that really easily and taking the watch away, which I kind of like that. It showed Steven having to grow in his power and not just rely on this tech, which was cool. You know who else isn't very subtle? Ultra. So you send in 2 agents with a cover story to try to keep things on the down low. But then, when you have confirmation, you immediately tase the mom and send in a bunch of black SUVs with tinted windows that are full of men carrying guns jumping out of them to raid a house. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Right out in the open in the middle of the day. I know you've got money and pull, but that action does not suggest shadow war. That suggests more of a out in the open war. Elsewhere, Cara and John are fighting while they're fighting. Ah, what a fun little trope that always is. I'm not much for love triangles, which they seem to be setting up here, but I am into the also trope of every superpowered team seeming to need to have a training area that's already set up and comes equipped with wrestling mats and bow staffs. That's always fun. And then lastly, we see Steven learning the reality of the stakes and consequences he's gotten himself into with staying in Ultra. Because we see that Vaughn's dead now because of his slip-up or his negligence with Steven. Because of him trying to be all heroic. That's certainly going to set up some moral quandaries for him, at least I hope so, and I'm sure along with the toll that he's already seeing is taking on his relationship to the rest of his family. Alright, that's all my thoughts for now. Until next time, your friend, Dreamweaver.
I love all the underlining sarcasm in that feedback.
There was a lot.
Oh, love it. Love it.
She's so right, though, about every superhero team always has a training room. That's just funny.
Yeah.
Perfect. And when you look at it, though, like, really, joke aside, it's a cool spot that they're in. Wherever that is filmed, and did they build it, or was that originally there? I don't know. But it's actually kind of a neat little location. It's cool. I'd go hang out there.
Yeah, that's, those, both in New York and in London, having the no longer used subway stations that are fancy and things like that, and have those, it's pretty cool. So yeah.
And in case anyone wondered, I know we caught ourselves long after we finished recording last week. We're in Manhattan. That's the location of this show. Yeah, because we were questioning it during our show, and then we never realized that they actually say it. Somewhere in the episode, but and then hopefully, Perry, it sounds like Dreamweaver actually gave you some answers to some of the things you were wondering about, so you guys can feedback and help each other.
Yeah.
Awesome thoughts, guys. Thanks for sending that in, and I hope you continue, whether you're happy with the show or not. I mean, that's totally okay. You don't have to like everything we do, but hopefully we keep hearing from you and you guys are along. We got 20 more episodes to go, so lots of time. Lots of time. All right, if you want to join the show, this is what you do.
If you would like to be a part of the show, you can send in your feedback to tomorrowslegendspodcast@gmail.com. You can also reach us on Twitter @tomorrowslegends. We'd love you to join our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/tomorrowslegends and become part of the community.
All right, that is it for us for episode 2. I'm having fun. I'm just glad we're here talking about something, a TV show.
Yeah,
it's fun.
It is fun.
It is fun.
Yeah, it's like old family. Like it's like getting around the dinner table with family you don't get to see very often. That's what it feels like. Hanging out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what's up this weekend? Mandalore's on Sunday. And, then we're into the Bad Batch and X-Men again on Wednesday, so that's what you guys can check out. Good.
We got Girl Interrupted is our next episode on tomorrow, people.
Is it? Girl? Okay. Wasn't that something popular back in the when the show was out, 2013? That's another TV show, isn't it? Girl Interrupted? It was a movie? Oh, okay.
Which I believe is based on a book.
Okay. There you go. There's some meaning behind there that. Maybe. All right, guys. Everybody have a good weekend, and this is The Flash signing off.
This is Harley Quinn. I'm out.
This is X-Force 11. So say we all.
Look at the timing of that this time, guys.
Tomorrow's Legends is not affiliated with CBS, Warner Brothers, HBO, or the CW. We're a fan-made podcast for entertainment purposes only and are part of the Cybercast Network. Be sure to check out our partner shows, The Mandalore and Dive into DC, covering your favorite Star Wars and DC Comics properties. Thanks for listening.